And then look at here, the lock is much bigger to keep handbooks and things in. This is for making the window go up and down.
How do you... Oh, my goodness. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that.
It's nice, isn't it?
Oh, it's so nice.
But I'll tell you a little story about the bodies on the car. They're both original bodies, but they weren't originally on these cars. And after this car had been given a new body in about 1914, 1915, because you couldn't wear out the car, not ever, but the body being woodwork and on bumpy roads, it would get a bit damaged, and so people would often have as many as 3 different bodies on the car during its lifetime. But this had got its second body when I bought it, and I wanted to restore it to being original. So I went to a different scrap dump where I was able to buy this body, and so the car came off one scrap dump, and the body came off another. But the man that owned the scrap dump for cars also had carriages on his scrap dump, and he had about 100 beautiful carriages, horse-drawn carriages, because in the 1920s and 30s, people were buying their first motor car, and in London they only had a single one-car carriage house, and they had to take their carriage out in order to put the car in. And this scrap dump, about 10 miles out of London, had about 100 beautiful carriages, and he couldn't sell them for £1 each. Nobody wanted to buy, because they were all getting their first cars. But he told me to go down this alleyway and turn right, and I'd find some car bodies. And on that scrap dump, in the same day, he said to me, Adrian, he was an ex-Navy diver, and I was an engineer in the Navy at the time, and he said, Adrian, you can have any body you like for £5. So I went wandering around, and I found this body, and I found that body, both on the same day. And so I went to my father, and I said, can you lend me £10?
Yes.
And he did, and I bought both these bodies on the same day. And it was 50 years before I found a chassis to put this body on. So,
that is amazing.
a bit of history.
That is.
But you can see this is quite a different style of body.
Okay. They are just so beautiful. And I can't wait to show my dad what they're like. And they've got this little box.
And that's the coil to make the spark.
Inside that little box?
Yes, that's right, yes. They didn't have plastic in those days.
No, thank goodness.
The seats are all leather, of course.
Yes. They are just,
It's interesting, isn't it? When you think that this was the start of all the cars, this sort of thing.
And this is, what's in here?
No, that's the coil. That's the coil underneath. Yes, that makes the spark.
Wow. How do you drive it?
I mean, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's anyone that can drive a truck with an old-fashioned gearbox can drive it. It's not that hard, and looking after it's more complicated. All the maintenance things, because you can't go to a garage anymore. There's nobody that knows what to do, and so I do all my own maintenance.
It's just absolutely exquisite. It's so beautiful. And this is gorgeous too.
Well, that's the Rolls Royces are the slowest cars in captivity, and but this is at the other end of the scale. This is an old racing car,
yes.
Built it's 1924, and it was built for racing at a racetrack in England called Brooklands.
Yes.
And it would compete against the Bentleys and the Opels and the Bugattis. It was a famous British racing car, and this one, in those times, it did 103 miles an hour, which is more than 170k, and it still does today. In fact, it does a lot more, because I've sort of hotted the engine up.